FC Barcelona's off-season atmosphere felt electric, humming with the promise of fresh talent and strategic moves. Last season, their attack dazzled like a firework display, each pass a spark, every goal a roaring explosion of colour. Yet despite this spectacular show on the pitch, whispers in the Camp Nou corridor spoke of a missing piece, a new winger who could push the team from thrilling to unstoppable. This summer, the club set its sights on reinforcing that wing, determined to find the right spark to complement their blazing front line. But as we'll soon see, some fires burn too hot to handle, and certain plans go up in smoke. Enter Nico Williams, Athletic Club's 21-year-old sensation, whose lightning pace and fearless dribbles have made San Mamés tremble. From the moment he burst onto the scene, Barcelona's scouts were hooked, tracking every slalom run and audacious flick. A few weeks ago, optimism reigned. Here was a Spaniard who could slide effortlessly into the Blaugrana tapestry, weaving past defenders like a thread through silk. Early talks between Deco, Barcelona's revered sporting director, and Williams' agent, Felix Tainter, took place under warm sunshine and hopeful smiles. The belief was simple: this deal would be a handshake away from completion. Yet within days that certainty began to crack, setting the stage for one of the summer's most dramatic U-turns. In a twist that stunned fans and pundits alike, the promising transfer dream dissolved when news broke. Nico Williams had inked a 10-year contract extension with Athletic Club. In one afternoon, seemingly out of nowhere, the young forward pledged his future to the Basque outfit, slamming the door shut on any hopes of donning Blaugrana stripes. The notification video, Williams standing beneath San Mamés lights, a grin of loyalty across his face, dropped that very night, and by morning, the press release had signed off on his commitment. For Barcelona, the disappointment landed like a thunderclap, their prime target gone. But how did a process that began under blue skies end so abruptly in a storm of shock? One lingering explanation centered on La Liga registration. Rumor had it that Williams wouldn't budge unless Barcelona guaranteed his spot on the official roster without delay. The Catalans insist they backed their promise with every verbal assurance they could muster, but nerves ran high. The winger, ever cautious, sought something more concrete, something he could hold on to, not just an echo of a promise. The tug-of-war over this registration clause became a gnawing undercurrent, tugging subtly at the foundation of talks. Though unseen by most observers, it set the mood for the miscommunications that would follow. Yet, as we'll discover, it was far from the only spark threatening to burn down the deal. Behind the scenes, attention turned to Felix Tainter, the agent whose handshake once symbolized progress but soon came to represent a roadblock. In the beginning, Tainter's rapport with Deco flowed smoothly, two professionals laying the groundwork for what seemed like a straightforward transfer. But as days passed, discussions tangled like loose threads on a loom, each question and counter-question adding a tight knot to the fabric of negotiation. Barcelona's patience wore thin, frustration simmered, and the club leadership began to suspect that Tainter's stance, not their own approach, was the true barrier. And when you feel a conversation going nowhere, you sometimes decide to walk a new path. That brings us to sport revealing exposé published just a few weeks after talks ran aground. According to their insiders, Barca's hierarchy quietly concluded if Tainter was the snag, they would simply sidestep him and speak directly to the source, Nico himself. Imagine the scene. Executives huddled around screens, drafting a message that would change everything. The decision was bold, even brazen, a detour around the agent's negotiating table toward the player's own phone. If this gamble paid off, Barcelona believed it could reignite talks and keep the transfer flickering. But if it backfired, the consequences could scorch relationships. Then came the fateful WhatsApp ping. Barcelona's note was straightforward. Consider switching agents. Tap Jorge Menez or Pinizavi to manage your future, they suggest. These names carried weight. Men's the architect behind Lamine Yamal, Ansu Fati, Alejandro Balde. Zahavi, the power broker who shepherded Robert Lewandowski and Hansi Flick, soon to add Frenkie de Jong to his roster. It was an appeal to proven track records, a proposal steeped in logic. Yet messages like stones tossed into still water send ripples in every direction, unanticipated and uncontrollable. Within the Williams family, the reaction was sizable. To them, Felix Tainter was more than an advisor. He was a trusted ally, a guide whose loyalty ran as deep as their own roots in Bilbao. Suggesting his replacement felt like a betrayal, a dismissal of years of shared trust. Anger flared, voices rose, and disappointment settled like smoke around the family home. Suddenly, the deal was no longer about contracts or clauses. It was about loyalty, pride, and the sanctity of personal bonds. Barcelona's well-intentioned nudge became the final straw, fracturing the fragile bridge they had tried to construct. In the space of a single afternoon, Nico Williams closed the chapter on his flirtation with Barcelona and sealed his destiny with Athletic. Pens scribbled across paper, cameras flashed for a renewal video beneath stadium lights, and the club's social media channels buzzed with the news before the next sunrise. By the time fans tuned in the following morning, the agreement was already history, an abrupt ending that left the Catalans to rue their missteps and wonder what might have been. Now, as Barcelona regroups, they reflect on lessons learned, the importance of solid guarantees, the risks of underestimating personal loyalties, and the fine line between persistence and overreach. Next time they chase a star, they'll move with caution, mindful that in football as in life, relationships are as crucial as any contract. So who will step up as the next winger on their radar? That question hangs in the summer air, a whisper of suspense promising another chapter of ambition, strategy, and perhaps redemption.